Okay. So we can talk, and it won't be a continuous interview. We can skip around and everything. But
sure.
So tell me what you have. Vivitrol, a heroin substitute, huh?
Well, it's not so much a heroin substitute. In fact, it's a very different drug than heroin. In fact, it does the opposite of what heroin does, when we're to clarify it from a purely chemical, biological standpoint. This drug... I'm sorry, go ahead. I'm sorry.
No, go right ahead.
I was going to say, it actually blocks the opiates, the heroin that one would inject in the brain.
Okay, is this anything like the narcotic antagonist, like Talwin, or anything like that?
Well, it's actually very similar in terms of being an opiate antagonist, in that it would cleanse the neuroreceptor sites of opiates and prevent subsequent opiates from attaching to those neuroreceptor sites.
Oh, so, this is great. So it prevents opiates from attaching to neuroreceptors. Wow.
Exactly.
Tell me how. I mean, is this? Is how far along are you? Does it have FDA approval? Are you still in the research stage?
Well, we are actually not the manufacturer of the drug, Evan. The drug is actually manufactured by a company called Alkermes, and they recently received approval to utilize the drug for opiate addiction. They actually had approval and have been utilizing the drug for alcoholism for a number of years. The actual underlying drug is called naltrexone, is a drug that's been around for a number of years. It's been used for opiate addiction, used for alcoholism. However, the key thing here, and I think the critical application of Vivitrol, is it can be injected once a month. So the critical thing is an individual can make a decision once a month as opposed to 30 decisions a month. And we think this is a significant game changer in terms of pharmacology for addiction, because one of the critical problems is consistency, is a willingness to take drugs on a daily basis, and this drug we think is going to help in that process, because one only has to make that once a month decision.
So instead of one day at a time, it's 1 month at a time.
Right.
Exactly. That's amazing. Let's see. This would be through doctors. Is it being used? Where is it being used? Is it being used in rehabs, things like that?
Well, my company, CRC Health Group, is the largest provider of addiction treatment services in the country. We're treating close to 30,000 people a day. We've been using Vivitrol for alcoholism for a number of years in a number of our inpatient treatment programs. We found it to be effective, safe, and a very viable drug to help alcoholics go through the treatment process. And we've been doing it in conjunction with these programs at the end of treatment and then follow-up treatment on an outpatient basis. And we found it to be very helpful for the treatment of alcoholism. We expect for the opiate use to be able to do a similar type of thing, where there's a specialized inpatient program and the individual would receive an injection at the completion of that program, and then there would be follow-up outpatient care and subsequent injections on a monthly basis.
When it's used for either alcoholism or opiate addiction, with alcoholism, they give I can't think of the name, but the drug that they came up with in the rubber processing industry, you know what I mean. And when you drink, you get sick.
Oh, Antabuse.
Antabuse,
yes.
Sure,
yes.
Antabuse. So Antabuse doesn't take away any cravings. It just makes you sick if you drink on top of it. With this, does it affect cravings, or does it just mean that if you take the drug, nothing happens?
Well, it affects cravings. This is not aversion therapy, much like Antabuse, where one took it and one had a very powerful reaction. If you're an alcoholic, you go through treatment and you're on Vivitrol, you're not going to have an adverse reaction. I mean, relatively normal things would occur. What the drug does is help with the cravings, and it diminishes the desire to drink, and when we think there are some highly concentrated areas of the brain that really control this behavior, and this drug interacts with those areas to really reduce the craving and desire to subsequently drink.
And so if it does not allow the opiates to bond or cause a reaction of the neurotransmitters, then you don't have the change, the increase in hormones, dopamine or whatever in the brain, so that you're kind of off and running again, right? Is that it?
That's pretty much the case. I mean, if you took an opiate while utilizing Vivitrol, it's not going to have any impact because it doesn't get to that receptor site. So you're not really striking that receptor. You're not eliciting that neural response that you would if that opiate went straight to the receptor. So that block effect is really the critical thing with naltrexone and with Vivitrol.
If this is given to an addict who is still addicted, does this cause the kind of reaction that Talwin or something with the narcotic antagonist that just puts them into instant withdrawal?
That's correct. Excellent point. One of the reasons we're excited about this is we think you need a period of detoxification from the opiate, and you need a period of time where you're more or less quarantined from opiate abuse. We think this is a prime opportunity to provide treatment, counseling, and service prior to getting that first injection. And they're looking at between 7 and 8 days to make sure that one is completely opiate-free. So we think this is a real opportunity and a significant opportunity to provide that treatment during that period of time. And our preference, we think, is best done on an inpatient basis because we can control the environment that the patient is in and direct them to treatment services. So we're pretty excited about this, and we think it meshes very well with an inpatient treatment program.
Oh, this is great. Well, also, when someone goes through they're isolated for 7 or 8 days, they're given the Vivitrol, do you recommend things like Narcotics Anonymous or some equivalent such as personal counseling?
Absolutely. We would recommend, obviously, seeking inpatient treatment, a course of treatment after one gets inpatient treatment, either on an outpatient basis. We always believe that self-help groups, whether it be similar to Alcoholics Anonymous, Narcotics Anonymous, what have you, are very important in achieving success in sobriety. And we would highly recommend individuals do that as part of an aftercare treatment program.
This is just really interesting stuff. I was reading even last year there were some studies where they would be doing an MRI, one of the variations on the MRI with people. They'd show them a movie, and let's say a cocaine addict, crack addict, they would flash a picture that really it went by too quickly for the eye or brain to comprehend, and they would just see this rush of dopamine, all of this released, and the person wasn't even aware that they had looked at a picture of the drug. It's just phenomenal stuff. It
shows the power of addiction on the brain, and you're absolutely right. I mean, the magnetic resonance tools that are available today have just reinforced how the foundation of addiction is neurochemistry, it is biology, and we're now really at the cusp of seeing how important that is and how treating neurochemistry and the fundamental biology of the brain is to the addiction process.
Well, thank you very much. I don't know where, since you came to me early, I may be bumping someone else's time, but we're going to really make use of this, and I appreciate your time.
Well, thank you. Appreciate it, Evan.
So long.
Thank you.